Hi, Praveen. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, Vijay, how are you?
Good.
Did you get the welcome email?
Not yet.
Not yet. Is your email address correct?
Let me check my other email. I have to log into that one. Let me see. Um, get this.
So Reddy Vijay 680 at gmail.com. Is that correct?
Oh, that's my personal. I sent another email in the chat. That's for real estate. I'm using that for real estate specifically.
But can you check if you have received that email there?
Yeah, I'm checking it. Hang on a
Yeah.
minute.
So that's what you are using in TREC. Probably you need to change it in the TREC. So generally we use whatever you email in your TREC profile.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Can I update that in my TREC profile, or is it too late to
Yes,
change
yes.
it? Okay.
Yeah, you can go ahead and update that.
Okay. Well, I already put my email in the chat, but regardless, let me look. Yeah, I don't think I saw anything in my personal email. No, I don't.
Yeah,
But the email I
let me
want
check
to,
the status of that.
yeah, um, yeah, but you can use my email. I'll send you it right now. This is my email. I keep all my real estate stuff in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. So how is everyone doing?
Uh,
Raj,
long, busy
Sangeeta,
day.
Tony,
Yeah.
Paul, and John. We have 8 people here. So okay. You just got licensed. You got licensed like a couple of months back, right? You're on mute, Vijay.
I was licensed in the end of April.
Right.
And it took me a while to figure out the brokerages, but here I am.
Yeah, welcome aboard, Vijay.
Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, hello Praveen and rest of
Hi.
you.
Hello, Rajda. Let's give just a couple of minutes and we'll start. Just say again, we will go over unimproved contracts. It's not much difference from residential 1 to 4 contracts, except maybe 3 or 4, 2, 3 sections about lands, land usage. So we'll go over that. So let's see. Let's give maybe a couple of minutes. To that. So is there anyone else new agent, new to the family here? Anyone else?
Yeah, while we're waiting, I guess I could ask question is there like an onboarding checklist of how like what needs to be done? I know I gave you email, my email to you right now, Praveen, but is there I guess, checklist for folks to join, how to get
Yes.
themselves set up? Okay, all right.
Yes, I think that email will explain everything about
Okay.
next steps to be done. And also Liz will go over back agent, how to log into back agent, just 15 minutes overview orientation class. She will go over with you. So
Sounds good.
you may get call this week sometime, but you should have received the email by this time. I don't know what happened. Let me follow up with Liz, and probably you will get it by morning tomorrow.
What's the email address? Liz's email address, so I can keep a lookout for it.
You can send it to admin@reconnection.com.
Okay, all right.
Admin@reconnection.com. Okay. So how many have you done unimproved contract? There are two land contracts. One is unimproved property contract, and the other one is commercial unimproved property contract.
Yeah, Praveen, one question, like what is the difference between ranch and like uh, unimproved land?
So generally ranch, you expect some kind of stuff, some kind of structure right now, and livestock like that. Of course, if it is land also, you can expect livestock. So some kind of structure, bonds.
Okay.
Ranch.
So if it is an open land, then it is an unimproved, comes under unimproved land, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will go over unimproved property contract now, and let's see if we can get commercial. There is not much difference. So this, let me share my screen.
Praveen, I have a quick question. Actually, I recently sold a land, actually unimproved land, like about 5 acres, and my clients wanted to build a recreational facility. So they are looking for construction loans. Do you know any?
They're looking for what?
Construction loan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right now a lot of banks, they are refusing to give construction loans. There are only few banks. Send me, we can connect after this. You can.
Okay.
Rajita, I'll send you a contact of somebody I know that does a lot of construction loans locally, our local bank around here.
Okay. Who? Raj?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Please. Yeah. Please send me.
Yeah, there are a lot of banks who are doing it, a lot are not, but you need some kind of equity to show that we can start construction. So send me, I can give you 3-4 banks.
Thanks.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks, Raj. Yeah, also let me know like what kind of construction it is. The recreational means like, is it a banquet hall? What kind of construction? Event center? What is it? So based on that, depends on ROI on that cash flow. They look at like what kind of returns you are getting on that.
Sure. Sure. It's like a cricket field, outdoor basketball, tennis court.
Honestly, it is very difficult to
Cricket field. There's no ROI in cricket field, I can tell you by default.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
have a lot of experience in that. Call me anytime.
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, but keep searching. Definitely, you can find some financial there. So how many of you closed lands before? This is just a quick synopsis kind of thing on due diligence on lands, unimproved property lands. So what do you do when you purchase, when you look at the land, like what kind of due diligence you suggest to your buyers, clients? Anyone has experience? I know a lot of you close lands, but what about due diligence? Where do you start? How do you start? Did you engage teams, or do you have team to do due diligence? how you do
Yeah.
that. Just we can share the information there.
I close land, Praveen.
Okay. So
So
how did you?
first I saw, is there any sewer, electricity, water? If those are there, it means it's good to ready to, build, to develop it. But if those are not there, that will be more, I mean, a lot will be cheaper, but you have to build, this will cost more.
Okay. Okay. That's good. So when you are buying land, like basically the purpose, right? What you are buying for, what is the buyer's use? That they want
Buy
to
and hold.
buy and hold.
Sometimes buy and hold, and sometimes to develop. I mean, just make it lots, cut in lots and sell it then. And sometimes a small lot bought and they build the house themselves.
Right, right. So when you do that, most they are just high level pointers. You can share if you have done, like if you came across some different kind of scenarios, like when you are buying these lands, you can share here. So start with survey, right? Look at the survey, whether there is any flood zone or flood path in the survey, topo survey, like what is the sea level, what is the topography of the land, and acreage, of course. And obviously, definitely I recommend you go and visit site with the team. If you have an engineer, take engineer. If you have like a soil test engineer or civil engineer, definitely it is worth visiting site before you put that offer contract. Once it is in due diligence, right? Soil test, that is very important, right? Like what kind of structure, if they are going to develop the land, you need to look at like what is the topography, how the contours are aligned there, how the flood flow, like which direction. These are all you have to look into that and suggest the buyers. Again, it is due diligence mostly part of the buyers. You don't need to advise. You don't need to be expert in soil test or contour topography, GIS. You don't need to be expert in that, but you need to mostly sometimes you should be in a position to advise your client to form a team. So soil test is one thing we do. Utility study, whether the capacity of utilities or is there any, like what kind of utilities, like is a 6-inch water, 2-inch water, or 12-inch water, depends on the development. So if that is good enough for the development buyer is looking for, or is there any improvements needed there? And zoning. So, and this is the most important, like whether what is future zoning. There a lot of people now buying lands in the outskirts, like in county, in ETJs. So you should look at what is, you can look at comprehensive plan for the city, like a future plan for that city, county, area, and you can give it to buyer. They will do their own due diligence. And title review. So what do you find in the title review? Like, of course, when you look at the title, if there are any liens, right of way, easement, this is part of financial obligation for buyers. What kind of easements are there? Whether there are easements are two types. Like one is you don't want unnecessary easements from the land, right? If a gas line going through the property, that is going to impact negatively, but there should be right easement, like a water line should be there, or you look at for water line, whether it is supplying enough water, is there easement, water, power easement is there to the land or not, electricity is there for the land or not. So that is financial due diligence, financial obligation due diligence, and title review. And environmental tests, whether the soil, are there any, in the past, is there any automobile shop or any auto storage, any chemicals spilled over on the land before, or are there any industrial chemicals like that? These are going to affect future projects for the buyer. And of course, property taxes, rollback taxes, where you can look at some, in this case, you can look at some annexation issues. Sometimes in the future, city may ask for annexation. But if you are looking at ETJ land, or you're looking at land in the county away from the city. So what is going to be in the future zoning, and whether city will ask future annexation? If that is the case, your taxes will go up. Or if there is already, if your city is looking to annex in the future, you can negotiate with city. Probably you can use city utilities at that point instead of bringing yourself from where the utilities are available now. You can ask, you can negotiate with the city. And property taxes rollbacks, yeah, that's where annexation also, you should look into that. And development due diligence, like what kind of development in the future. So not every land is suitable for every kind of end user. You should be careful about that. So like someone is a Gita is looking for recreational center. It may not be, not every land is cricket fields. Obviously, you should look at the topo survey, definitely. Right. If there is a lot of difference in elevations, right? You need, buyer will end up spending a lot of money to mow the land, right? So definitely those kind of minimum due diligence are required. Do you see anything else we should be doing?
I think we should add some oil, gas, and mineral. Are there any rights or leases the seller is having, right?
It's right. Mineral. That's good. Natural sources. Natural.
Yeah, subsurface rights, right? What
Surface
surface rights versus sub.
Right. Oil, right. Natural resources like
Mineral rights.
Mineral, gas, oil.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but it is part of probably like a financial due diligence obligation. Mineral, oil, and gas, right? Yeah.
A simple tree survey should be there too. It can be, looks very nice, but it can be very, very expensive for you.
Tree survey, you said?
Yes.
Tree survey, yeah. That's
because if you don't do it, it can cost you millions of dollars. Your land may be $500,000. Tree mitigation will be $1 million.
Perfect. If it is a lot of like a wooded land, right? Cleaning and all that stuff takes, right?
Just example, we had a customer who bought a land very cheap, and now he's paying around $1.2 million for tree mitigation.
Absolutely, yeah. So anything else you think? No?
So Praveen, during the due diligence, how do we know whether the seller is has already leased all these mineral rights and oil? How do we verify?
Yes, there is all for everything, right? There is a disclosure or there is a addendum for the contract. So they have to disclose. If they know something, they should disclose. Seller should disclose. Or you definitely buyer has right to ask seller.
Yeah, but sellers sometimes they say, like it is grandfathered, and they may not be aware of any leases on the gas and mineral rights.
Yeah.
So
See, whatever this is, that's the information you can take, and you do your own due diligence on that.
yes.
Right. So mineral rights, it is very hard to search for. Very expensive also. The attorneys charge a lot. So whatever seller says, and or if a seller doesn't have mineral rights, obviously they want to keep it, or there is you have to execute an addendum for that.
Oh, okay.
A quick question, going back to like, I know you're talking about the utility study. You had mentioned something about 2-inch water, something like that. What was that all about?
So the existing water line near the land, right? Utility study, when you see, basically, you look at water, gas, right, sewer, electricity. So these if they are available up to the site, that is well and good. And when they are there, based on the development, suppose you wanted to build a neighborhood, single family home, it's 200 acres. If they are running just 2-inch line, water line there, that is not going to be enough for the development, right? So if that is the case, buyer has to pay to enhance that the line, right? Water line or sewer line. So if there is, what are they going to use that land for? And what kind of capacity is supplying? Like what kind of supply is there? Water, sewer, that is important. So that is a kind of a financial impact on the buyer for their future development. So if they want to build 200, 300 acres, maybe they need a 12-inch line, water line. So you don't know how long, like where is the water source, where it is sourced. Like if it is 2 miles away, then that's going to cost a lot.
So how do we find about the water line from who is going to?
City can tell you that.
City. You can call the city. If it is a private water, if it is like a county, ETJ, there are any private water right now. If you go to Sanger, Valley View, those areas like a lot of, and Crum also, a lot of this private water, Bolivar water, there is a private line available. Just so you can call them and check with them. So what kind of capacity line available? What kind of what is the capacity of the water line?
Yeah, probably just want to add to this thing is like, so a lot of time, even you have a pipe, right? Depends on the flow of the water. It may not have enough pressure, so you have to get a pumping station, and that can be very, very expensive. So a lot of people don't think about it, but by the time, so it's good to involve cities to see what kind of size of pipe you need, also attachment up there, but also like, do you need a pumping station? What the water flow is, to downward, upward? That make a huge change for that.
Yeah, I think that's where there's a lot of these peat and mud districts come in place. They ask city to do some incentives, or they improve public improvement district. So that's when like then in the future taxes will impact end users. So that is very important. Utility study is important when you are going for major developments.
So Praveen, before we get into the contract, how do we get the comparable properties for land contracts before we make an offer for buyer? I am having very hard time finding the comparables. Where do we think we can get?
It is hard, yeah. Texas is a non-disclosure state. We all know it is hard. There is no centralized repository for on the actual sales price. Right now, only thing if there are any recent sales nearby, right? If you see any recent sales, you call those agents. Whoever closed the agents, or obviously listing agent, right? So some of them are available MLS. If they are an MLS, of course, we are lucky. Other than that, right, you go into, and it is hard to interpret. If you go into private websites, right, landsamerica.com or lands.com, LoopNet, CoStar, right? It is you can see open listings, but you cannot just assume based on open listing prices. There's going to be a lot of difference. Yeah, that's the way. If you know some, if you see some closed listings, you have to call them and check. My buyer is interested in that. Just wanted to get some price, like what's the sold price. They may or may not tell, like unless they have a buyer's agreement, acceptance, buyer and sellers acceptance. Most of the realtors they don't disclose. Yeah. Anyone else has done a different way on comps?
Just to kind of go back to what you're saying, so you're talking about the disclosures. So are you saying the owners don't have to have the same type of disclosures what they do with the 1-4 type of thing where they can hold back? Is that what I'm understanding?
Non-disclosure. You're asking non-disclosure
Not
price.
just disclosure in general. So
No.
does the landowner have to be fully truthful about everything? Can they omit stuff, even if they know something, or how, or are you saying that, or is it similar to
About the price, Raj, or other disclosures?
just overall disclosure, not price, just overall? I'm not
Overall,
talking about.
they have to be truth on facts. Whatever the facts they know, right? They cannot hide the facts. They have to disclose that about like a natural gases, or there is if they know the fact, they have to disclose it.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is for price, right? When it is price, it is they don't need to disclose price.
Sure. I understand that.
Yeah, that's when it is a Texas is non-disclosure state on the price wise, right? They don't need to.
Yeah. No, yeah, I get that.
Yeah, that's why if you go to LoopNet, you don't find the price, and even if you see some price, it may not be true, may not be fact there.
So Praveen, as a brokerage, are you prohibited from collecting the data from your agents and maintaining a database of that land sales?
No, if you list it in MLS, you have to disclose. You have to close it with actual sales price.
Okay.
So that is there is no exception for that. You cannot say I cannot disclose on that MLS. If it is MLS, you have to disclose it. Okay. As a realtor, that is advantage of having a realtor being a real estate license, right? You can go to MLS and do the comps, check the prices and all database. You will have access to all the database. Okay. Right. So if it is on MLS, if that owner listed, a listing agent listed on MLS, and they have to, when you close the transaction, when you close that from MLS, you have to enter closing price.
Okay.
It has to be disclosed. But let's say most of these lands are not on MLS, right? Commercial agents, they're not actual like a realtors. They have Texas real estate license, may not be realtors, not members of MLS members. So they list it on LoopNet or lands.com, any private websites. They don't have an obligation to disclose the price.
So in that case, how are comps going to be measured?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Suppose you want to buy land 123 Main Street. Probably you need to do some kind of research, like what are the lands sold in last 360 days nearby, maybe 5 miles range or 10 miles range. If there is a close price on LoopNet, CoStar, TREC, what is that, landsamerica.com, these private websites, you can go and check that price, but most of the times you can see listing price, not closing price. So if that is the case, probably you need to call the agent, ask them, we are looking at this land near the land which you sold 6 months back. Would you mind telling us what was the close price? So most of the time they may not reveal, but that's the only thing. And land comps are difficult. let's say if you're buying land 123 Main Street and 124 Main Street might have completely different characteristics, right? The ingress egress might be different. The facing, the shape of the land and contours, topography of the land might be different completely. So you cannot compare, strictly compare based on per square foot price to each other. You have to follow, see like what are the, how the lands are, lands are there, their characteristics are there.
Sure. So let's take,
thing.
so if we take 123 Main Street as an example, let's say I have a buyer that's looking to buy 123 Main Street. So end of the day, I'm pretty much with the current concept, I'm pretty much shooting in the dark, especially if I reach out to 124 Main Street, which was sold, let's say 3 months ago. The agent is not willing to give me the comps, what it was sold for. So even if I walk the thing, I see the characteristics are different. How as a realtor can I help my client come to some sort of, like a CMA?
Yeah, the thing is, probably you can go into county website and check the assessment again. If it is ag zone like that, you can see the valuation, but not just on the taxation.
Those are the assessed value, right? It's not the appraised value if I go to the county. So if you can't really, that won't give you an accurate appraised value then.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You cannot get accurate like a houses per square foot price. You cannot get that.
Right. So I guess my question is, if I want to help my client put an offer in for 123 Main Street, I know 124 was listed at, let's say, 1 million, for instance, and we have no idea what it was sold for. Then this 125 was listed at 500,000. Right, and they're all similar size lots, as they're similar whatever characteristics. So how, as an agent, am I supposed to help my client come to find some analysis so I can put an offer in, or what how do I come across that is kind of what I'm trying to understand.
So basically, this especially in the lands, right? You don't with my experience, right? I never saw a perfect comps. And again, it depends on the due diligence. Basically, the land and it goes mostly on the due diligence. Let's say 123 Main Street can be residential zone, and 124 Main Street could be the industrial zone, or could be a retail C1, C2, C3 zone. So based on the usage, like one thing is comps. Comps is very least. You can look at the prices like a sold listed. You can come to a kind of a assessment. This could be a price. But mostly buyers, what they do is they do their due diligence. What is going to be written on the investment? If it is a commercial and you are buying next to the residential, commercial. So the ballpark number right now, right in the city wise, in the city, Frisco, if you want to buy a raw land anywhere, right, $12 to $18, $20. That is a range going on in Frisco now, right? Per square feet. And depends on depends on characteristic, whether it is road frontage or next to road, second lot to road, like that. These are all based on that. There's a financial due diligence that buyer has to do. What price would work for them? Always this commercial projects there, that's based on your buyer's returns, then you make the decision. Not you, buyer make the decision. But there is no I think a perfect comps. So next door sold for $6 per square feet, I can buy same $6 per square feet. That is not possible. Of course, if it is zoning and everything is same, that may be possible.
So end of the day, it's a shot in the dark, and if
it's not shot in the dark, of course. They have to do their own due diligence.
Let's say you do your due diligence, you do whatever you have to, whatever the due diligences are, right? And one you mentioned, hey, calling the agents is one. And obviously looking at all these comps, sale prices and all that. Obviously we can get the list price on MLS. So that's gonna, if something is listed on MLS, wonderful. But I'm assuming
to get an idea on price.
right. But let's just assume MLS is out of the picture, because majority of are going to be on LoopNet and corrects, all these lands.com and whatnot, right? So if we can't, like, what other due diligences would you recommend doing other than calling the agent to kind of see if we can come around and get a better picture?
Yeah, just again, based on the usage and based on like a return on investment. Let's say we were buying 4 years back before pandemic, right? I bought a 10 acres land in Frisco, let's say. So I searched on the listings, several listings at that time. And what is the listing price basically? Let's say the next lot they listed for $6 per square feet. This lot listed for $12 per square feet. You see a big difference in the listing there, right? So basically we go and we ask them why is this the difference? There is a $6 difference. That then they will say, hey, that was zoned for a light industrial and this is commercial C1 C3. So you see the difference now. The return on investment, you cannot pay light industrial same price as retail C1 C2, right? So there the difference, then the buyer has to do his due diligence. Okay, if I pay this, and the end use cost also, once it's a kind of a project, right? When they are doing, our buying and holding is a different criteria. When they want to build some structure and want to develop the land, that is a different criteria. They have to look into their return on investment, like what is going to cost, and how long it will take, what is holding cost, holding period, and how much we can sell. Most of these developers make decision based on that, if they want to develop it. Suppose I'm buying like a $10. That's why you see huge difference between lands. One land may sell it for $7, next land may go it for $10, $11, because the numbers, what they are doing, they that might work for them, right? So this is going to be development cost. This is a holding period, and when I put the structure, when I develop land, I'm going to sell it for this one. Then I'm okay to put this kind of price. That is purely not comps. It's a business decision for buyer. Most of these lands are the transaction happening that way mostly, but not just. Suppose we are buying acreage 20 miles, 30 miles away. We purchased several of these acreages in not Dallas area, right? Not Sanger, Anna, Melissa, those areas. So at that time, it was acreage price. Most of those prices are available on MLS. So mostly you can make a decision, buyer can make a decision. Okay, this is like probably 20,000 per acre. I'm buying now, maybe for 3-4 years, it may go up another 10, $20,000. But coming to the comps question, right? It is based on like a buyer's discretionary decision on that. And that's what we do, but there is no database as far as I know. If anyone has any information, definitely we can bring it up. That. So most of these lands are like a decision based on their return on the investment. Vijay, you have a question? I see your hand is up.
Yeah, so I guess to continue the actual question, was it Raj, right, that asked the question?
Yes.
So I guess on the same line, So it all depends, the land value is all dependent on how the buyer sees it. So this is all subjective. So appraised value is not necessarily the listing value and vice versa. It all depends on what people are willing to buy for. So these prices are still, are you basically getting similar properties and comparing it and then coming up with a price? Like how many properties would you need to use to come up? Let's say you had a 5-acre lot, say in Frisco, and you had another one, let's say in Plano. How would you, price the one in Plano? Would you have to use the same acreage or the location? There's so many drivers, right? So, like for example, in Gunter, you have land, and you might have something in Plano that's the same, but the different location would change the value drastically. So how are you going to know, I guess, how to price it? That's a big challenge. You don't want to overprice or underprice. What are some techniques used?
Yeah, always the real estate is location, 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 right?
Right.
That's the main driver for any kind of real estate. Right?
Correct.
Main driver.
Yeah, and
Depends
I
on
can,
that.
yeah, and I think what Praveen said, that's the best approach. What's the use of it and how do you calculate it? For example, I'll give you, we have a land in Little Elm. One side of the land, you can build like around 10 townhomes in an acre. As soon as you cross the other side of the road, you can put 6 townhomes per acre. Now, if you compare, it's just a one simple road, left and right, nothing major change. But the whole future land use is totally different. So if somebody pay $500,000 per acre, should the person pay $500,000 per acre on the other side? No, right? So that's the kind of thing. It's if there's no CMA, what the use you have for future, that comes to the picture. So, and again, do reverse engineering, how much you will sell it for, how much you made, development costs and all that stuff. But yeah, I agree, it's tricky. I haven't sold anything on land side of it, but the numbers, it's always tricky to figure it out.
I mean, I've been to a land sale before, okay? I mean, down in Austin and the Dallas area, these what do you call them? These ranch sales. Have any of you gone to these? Anybody? Okay. So you know how it goes, right? You have all these salespeople in these little carts and they go sell you the land, first come, first serve. But the one thing that we all learn in our course is they should give you this land sales disclosure, right? Interstate sales disclosure form. And at the time, I didn't know what it was, but now that, that I'm licensed and I learned it, they should disclose, all this stuff that we have listed on this page. Now, not all that's for land that's being sold by companies. Not all owners are going to give you a survey, right? It's required or it's optional. I mean, seller's disclosure notice is not required for a home. For a land, it is required, or is it not required?
It's not required. There is no
Okay.
like a seller's disclosure. When you do for home sales, right? A lot of hidden facts are there.
Right.
So that's when it's required. But yeah, land it is not required.
Okay.
I just want to mention a couple of small things. Just I know there's some everyone's at different stages with this, and I'm still learning it for myself. But on the land side, but in that initial stage when you're putting an offer on the land, right? That due diligence period that Praveen was referring to, if you're asking for 60 days or 90 days or 100 days, whatever that time period is, you might have to order that survey, right? Once you get the survey back, the survey is going to tell you, utilities maybe listed on the land. If they found anything, if there's any unknown pipes, it'll show you if there's any standing water. A good engineer can tell you how deep a lake is from looking at the survey. A good engineer can probably tell you quite a bit about the land from just looking at the survey, right? And then just like Praveen was talking about, like, if maybe the zoning has to be adjusted or changed, right? Just as you mentioned, it might be 2 different zonings on either side. If it's residential on one side, but commercial on the other side, and maybe you're trying to switch it, you may have to go before the committee to make an appeal to get that converted over. They may or may not want to roll in that direction. And then that soil testing, if you're putting a high-rise building or if you're putting a low-rise building, if the soil is capable of withstanding that, and what will the pad site cost you to develop? And just as someone mentioned earlier, you know, if you're not getting enough pressure on the land, you may, on the water side, you may have to make some of those changes. Everything's going to happen during that due diligence period. And so, you know, in the contract, you know, you may be able to go back and pay to get an additional 30 days or 60 days, but it depends on what the project is and depends how much money is at stake. That will basically determine whether or not they feel the price per square foot is reasonable or not. I don't know. Did that make sense to anybody?
Yeah, it made sense.
Right. So the option period, yeah, that's a good point, Kiran. But the price, right, before the buyer should be able to come up before we put contract, the termination. So that's why, right, when you talk to the seller agent, right, land whoever listed, right, the listing agent, get the survey, and it is definitely recommend, if it depends on the land. If you are buying a 1 acre lot for residential, still it is needed. But in a neighborhood you are buying, I think the due diligence might have already done by some developers already work there, right? But if you are buying a big parcel of land, before you put that offer, I would recommend to put your team together. Your soil engineer, civil engineer, right? If you have a business plan, development plan, like an architect, right? At least these 3 people should be there to do proper due diligence before you put in price, and before you send that offer. Of course, you can back out, still negotiate price during offer if you find something, right, which is, let's say, your utilities are not enough capacity, they are too far, and there is a easement problem with the utilities getting to the site. These kind of things you can negotiate price always, but engage them as soon as possible. Visit site before you put offer, and if needed, get soil test done. It is not, it's at least 1 or 2 pits. They do bores, like a 3-4 bores, and do soil test. That is not needed before you put an offer. You can do that due diligence period, but at least form a team, visit the site. They can tell you, like a flood zoning or some topography, or they may say like what they may give rough estimate on development cost, how it is going to impact in the future. Yeah, that's a good input. Okay.
And the other thing, you know, is about the that phase 1 environmental testing. I think that survey, if you get it done, it's only good for 1 year. So in case that expires, you may have to go back and get that redone again, right? I'm not sure.
Correct. Yeah. So phase 1 is simple. It doesn't cost much. You can get it done during due diligence or before that. Most of the times they will get it done. Seller will get it done before they list the land. You can ask them if they have the phase 1 environmental available.
Praveen, question for you regarding land that sits outside of the ETJ, like in any area. Say, for instance, we're looking at, I don't know, like Prosper Salina is obviously hot right now, right? So if land is sitting outside of the ETJ, how would you like have access to try to understand what the future is? Like, for instance, you know, it's outside of the ETJ, so there's no sewer there, for instance, right? Like, how would you?
Doesn't even within ETJ you may not have sewer. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Even, so if it's outside of ETJ, I would assume no sewer, right? Because unless someone actually put it in, like for raw undeveloped land, right?
Correct.
So, like, how would you go about trying to understand, like, for each piece of land, every piece of land out there, there's always going to be some sort of zoning that's assigned to it. Is that a correct statement?
So, okay, the question is like, how do you understand what is going to be future use?
Right, future use.
Or yeah. What is the zoning future use and what it could be? Yeah, you can always call the county, definitely, even county, nearby city also. And every city has a comprehensive plan. If you look at 20-year, 40-year comprehensive plan, right? you look at even if it is not in EDJ, the outside lands also, it will show the future roadmap, future kind of a development, whether it is a single family. It doesn't mean like it has to be that one all the time. You can still go and ask for zoning change on that.
Okay, so if you can't approach the city, you can approach Collin County, for instance, or Dallas County.
Correct. Collin County, Collin Denton, or Dallas County. Yes. Yep.
And you talk to the planning department?
Right.
Planning
department. They are very helpful. Every city, I never had any issue with the communication with the counties. They are very helpful. And again, it is easy if those kind of things, like changing zoning change is easy unless they already have some future plan established. So the major challenge when you want to develop those kind of lands is the infrastructure might have not developed at that at this time, right? If you want to put some residential community far away, right? They will ask to widen the roads, or if there is not enough infrastructure, you may not get approvals. But changing zoning changes, it's not that difficult with those kind of plans.
Got it.
This is like a lot of developments with their own sewer plants or mud or pit developments. I see so many in this area. Anna, Melissa, Gunter, Prosper.
Praveen, a couple of questions around zoning. Does every city have the same zone types, or different cities have different zone
Different
types?
cities have different zone types. You have to call them. Most of them, they follow common nomenclature. What do you call that? But they need not be same zoning.
Okay, and approximately how many different zoning types are there in every city?
I'm not sure 100%, but again, zoning types depends on. There could be like a residential, commercial, and in each, like again, R1, R2, R4, R3, like that. C1, C2, C3 depends on that, and industrial, light industrial, right? Urban zoning. There are several kinds of. We can. Let me see if I can find proper listing on that. So again, so zonings, when you say commercial zoning is there, and C1, C2, C3, it could be different from different city.
Okay.
Yeah, in the Salina area where I'm at, there's a lot of like ground leases and mixed use. I see signboards everywhere I go. So they still haven't
mixed use,
developed. Mixed use is big. Residential I've seen. I didn't see R1
But
or R2, but no.
Yeah, mixed use fall into urban kind of urban zoning.
Urban zone. Okay.
Right.
How would you, like, when you see the ground leasing, the ground, they just putting corn crops everywhere, and then later somebody comes and develops that land. How would you classify that? The ground lease.
So
Collin
it's
County.
not ag lease, you say, right? Not ground. Of course, ground lease give another definition, like a.
So like what I'm
lease
seeing
structure.
is I've seen it says ground lease by some company, and then they're just growing crops in that land as of right now. How would you classify that zoning?
I think if they are growing crops, falls into
Right.
ag exemption, ag zoning, right? Without
Okay.
ag zoning, even though it's a commercial usage, I think ag zoning, I would say.
Agricultural. Okay.
And Praveen, question for you. So if you have land, obviously that's classified as agricultural, right? And us as agents, if we're representing a buyer, and you're buying land that's classified as being agricultural, in order to maintain the agricultural exemption, What are the steps required to do that?
So basically they need a lease agreement, or they want a proof that you are at least having 2 crops per year in that land, or livestock. You're maintaining livestock on the land. Either if you there are certain if you go to that what is D-1-1 farm for county for agricultural exemption, ag exemption, you can see different crops. Those are qualified for ag exemption. So you have to certify, okay, we are growing these kind of crops in the land. Or certain kind of livestock, or you should have certain kind of livestock to get exemption, ag exemption.
It should be more than 10 acres.
That also varies from county to county. I think in Collin County it is 7 acres, like that, 7 acres, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it varies from county to county. So, okay. So any other questions on that? We are, I think, top of the hour. We didn't get into the contract. Did you, if you already filled unimproved contracts, do you have any specific questions on this contract? But this is more, yeah, just like 1 to 4 residential contract. Of course, every contract that has parties, buyer, seller, in price. Of course, these are general terms in the contract. You have any specific questions on this? I saw messages in the group sometimes. They want to go over this contract, unimproved property contract. Any specific questions? So title, policy, survey, these are I think we are good with that. Unless you are a new agent, you never wrote contract. Vijay, we can get to that later.
Yeah, sure.
The contract.
Praveen, on the title policy, just has a residential property has a certain what is it, cents per dollar on the sales price, right? For a title policy for land, what is there a particular multiplier for land for?
This same I see the always same formula for title policy, right? Based on the value of the transaction, based on the value of the property. The formula, I think it is same when they issue title policy. Is that the question, Kiran?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out, so it's the same, regardless if you're doing for land or?
I think it's the same. I used to have that formula. I used to calculate before. I forgot it. So you can Google it and see that. But they don't ask when you do that formula. They don't ask whether it is land, house, or any commercial property, anything. They ask the value, and what is the loan amount, what is the purchase price, and whether it is a simultaneous closing, like that. But the formula is the same when you do title policy.
Okay, cool.
So you like Praveen, usually sellers will provide the survey, or like buyer has to order a new survey if he wants to.
It depends. That's a negotiation. If seller already has survey, they will provide. If they don't have survey, or even though they have survey and the lender is not okay with that survey, they will ask buyer to pay. Again, that is a negotiation. Like what is the price? Like what is demand, competition there? So if
It's again buyer's expense has to do it, like if we
again. It's a buyer, or if you check both the marks here, right? Both the buyer and seller, that is split between buyer and seller.
Okay.
Right? If an amendment or if you furnish normally that's what most of the times, right? If seller has survey, they will provide you survey. If seller doesn't have survey or lender cannot use seller survey, buyer will pay the survey. it is not a standard, they don't need to stick to that. They can still ask seller, no, we want seller to pay for the survey. But in general, the amendments, shortages in area, right? Because buyer is going to buyer is going to hold this property after that, right? The shortages are important to the buyer. So in that case, most of the times buyer will pay if there are any shortages.
And what all do you look for in the survey, Praveen?
Praveen, it may be like buyer has a, like seller has a old survey. It might have, like, land might have few changes, right? So in that case, the seller can, like, buyer can order a new survey with the changes, right?
Yes, they can order. Anytime buyer can order survey. If they are ready to pay, they can still order survey. They are with their own expenses.
Okay.
Even changes are there, even changes are not there. If they want a new survey, they can order that. Yeah. Sorry, there was another question.
Basically, I asked, what all do you need to look for in the survey?
In the survey, generally easements, right? You look at flood zoning. If they have some, they give you the area of flood if there is a flood, right? Flood area. Easements, if there are any easement, they will disclose that. And if of course, topo survey is different. Alta survey is different. Normally, Alta survey where they provide topo survey. If a buyer want a topo survey, you have to order that. Seller, they don't provide. Unless they have it, they don't provide topo survey. So easements, flood, like a mid-sign bounds all the time, right? You can see that what are the boundaries, the survey acreage. Those are the things you check in the survey. If you have a topo survey, you can see the elevation, the flow topography of the land.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Yeah. So commitment.
Maybe we can go through one sample survey and see what points are actually in the survey. Like sample survey if you have. Next meeting maybe.
Yes, that's
yeah, sure.
true.
I can show that. But again, so this is FEMA. We'll go through that. Survey. This is FEMA. Well, so if you want to look at the flood area, if you know the address, right, you can just go enter your address here, right, and search for that. And you can see the flood area here. Flood map. Most of the times, if it is an MLS, you can see it in MLS flood maps. So you go this website and check the flood area.
The green one is flood area.
Sorry, what is the question?
Praveen, is the green one is the flood zone?
Blue. I don't know, it's blue or green, but yeah, this one is flood area. You can see legend here.
Okay.
Flood elevation, all legend. It comes up with legend. And your survey also mostly look like this. If there is a flood.
How can we search, like most of the lands will have address or something, or what?
Yeah, you put address here, it will take you there.
Okay.
Of course, not exact parcel, but you will see the floods.
Could you put the link in the chat, please?
Yeah, it's just FEMA.gov.
FEMA.gov, yeah.
Praveen, here is my feedback. In the next session, you might want to drill down into each of those bullets that you listed there. What to look for in each of those areas, and what are some of the red flags due to which you should, advise or suggest your buyers to reduce the price, increase the price, or even stop buying it. So those are some of the things that probably are going to be useful for agents like us.
Sure. We can definitely do that as time permits, and definitely like this is lot of information, but we can go one at a time in multiple sessions. We can do that. Again, I don't want to generalize when it comes to buyers. One buyer might be looking for something that is valuable for them, and other buyer may be looking for something. Yeah. So due diligence wise, we can go over step by step on this. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, as
So-
Raj said earlier, we need to be knowledgeable about how to help our clients, right? What to look for, because they are going to rely on us for the advice.
Absolutely. Again, you cannot advise on everything. You need to basically you need to have proper team, right? You cannot get skills. Of course, having knowledge, definitely that's a competency we should build, but we cannot step into other professionals area like a soil test, right? We cannot tell like this is good soil like that, right? But obviously we recommend go ahead with the soil test.
So Praveen, okay, going kind of expanding on that one part, if you could, I know you had mentioned, having the proper team and all that. I understand that, but now what would be the like, hey, we're not looking for, I don't think as realtors we're looking to be, EPA scientists or anything like that, where we can do soil testing or knowledge of surveys and whatnot, but what I was kind of mainly looking for is like, hey, yes, you need that team. What are going to be the teams that are going to be necessary to help out the client? Yes, soil testing, yes, architect, yes, somebody who can do survey. So what are those cheat sheet is kind of mainly what I was kind of looking forward to from what do you recommend?
Absolutely. Yeah, we can build some kind of information like that. Yeah, basically, if it is land, obviously it's a civil engineer, soil test, right? If the buyer is looking for some kind of development, right? Architect. MEP always like a MEP follow architects and utility study. These are the team you should have in place. When I say like don't step onto like a survey, I know we can read survey, right? If they say the acreage, if it is not on the acre, if it is not whatever listed on survey, we follow that one, right? It is just an example what I have experienced based on that I'm telling, right? Sometime I looked at survey and there was no acreage on flood map. They showed flood, but there was no acreage. And I don't want to give any assumptions, but it's like 100-acre slot by marking like a 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, like we came across 25 acres might be in survey. But I based on that, I don't want to ask buyer to buy that land or put some price on that. We need to have proper full acreage. So for that, we had to go for another survey to get that acreage. So when we advise, right, we leverage professionals who are who have expertise on that. Instead of like, I don't want to tell them, hey, this looks like on the survey, this looks like 1/3 of the map. It could be like a 30 acres. And I don't want to put some kind of assumption in buyer's mind and come up with a price later on that may lead to issues. So that's why I want to recommend proper team rather giving them advice on this. But yeah, definitely we should put some kind of cheat sheet about like who are near, like what kind of due diligence is needed for each kind of property.
Yes, exactly. So this way, if we have that cheat sheet, okay, hey, at least we have a reference point. We can go, hey, I need to go I need to reach out to a surveyor. I need to reach out to maybe a lawyer at this point because there's mineral rights involved. I need to reach out to an architect because they're looking to build something. So just if you have that cheat sheet for that, I think it will make everybody's life a little bit easier.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we should. That's a good. We should have that template. That's a good suggestion. Right. We'll see. Okay. We are almost over the hour. So just so these are most of these. So proration and rollback taxes. This is printed. You don't need to select anything, but buyer should understand what are the rollback taxes, right? So, and casualty loss.
So would the rollback taxes, just going back to that, would that be covered under would the title company kind of cover that aspect, or do we have to do separate research on that?
We have to do separate research. You have to ask seller whether they paid any rollback taxes, right? If you are buying a land with ag exemption taxation, right? Ag exemption is just a taxation, not the zoning, basically, right? Your commercial zoning property also can have an ag exemption. So you are buying a commercial land, it's well and good, but that's been exempted, tax exempted for like 10, 15 years, last 10, 15 years. Then you want to convert that into commercial land. The buyer has to pay rollback taxes to the city. So you can call city with the parcel ID. Hey, tomorrow, if I want to convert this to commercial land, what are the rollback taxes I will end up paying? Right. Of course, it depends on the assessment at the time when they convert into commercial kind of assessment and they go back. Again, this is also varies county to county, right? Some counties collect 3 years, some counties collect 5-year rollback taxes. So that's due diligence they have to do that if they want to go for immediate development.
Okay.
And, casualty loss, default, mediation, these are general contract terms. Just want to see where I can run. Then here. Yeah, other than that, like most of these clauses sections are similar to other contracts. Special provisions. So Texas Agricultural Development District, when you are doing this, what do you select? Is or is not located in Texas Agricultural Development District. So as per my knowledge, there is no Texas Agricultural Development District has been developed so far. So always this goes is not located in Texas Agricultural Development District in Texas. Yeah. So that's pretty much standard contract. If you have any time, any questions, I don't think I will create a template and put it on back agent, now shade drive. That was the idea. Actually, this class I wanted to create template, but there was a lot of questions and due diligence. I will create and put it on back agent. So, any other questions? The contract or due diligence? Okay. If not, I think we are almost we're done 6:45. So see you next class.
Yes. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Praveen.
you. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.
And, let's not miss these classes. Now we are probably next week we'll go over new NAR forms. The very, very important class. Me and Ketan both we get together. We will go through, not on Wednesday, probably we'll schedule a Saturday class. We'll let's go over the changes on the contracts and new forms. That is very, very important. I would recommend everyone to attend that class.
Sure.
This Saturday?
I haven't, I don't have a date. I will update on chat, WhatsApp.
So quick question on that. I know the new forms are coming out, what, end of this month? Or the official documents?
Yeah, end of this month, but some trainers already got those forms. They are working on that. Probably we may not, but probably yeah, after they release.
So now, as a brokerage, are we going mandatory in July, or are we waiting till mid-August?
Great question, Raj. Yeah, once their forms are out, maybe within 2 weeks, we will start mandatory as a brokerage policy.
Okay.
Because we will get used by the time, at least we want to have a buffer 2 to 4 weeks before
August
they are
18th or was it August 16th, something like that, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
July 16th. So July 16th or July end, based on how well we prepare by that time. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So like mid-July, as a brokerage, we're gonna go mandatory, but I know
We are
August is the cutoff, right? Mid-August is the cutoff.
August 17th.
Yeah.
It's cut off. So our back agent will enforce.
5 चले जा रहा है 75 से जाना है तो आगे जाओ
12th. What's it? Sorry.
Hey, Geeta, you're on. You're not muted.
Okay. So our back agent might we will put like those mandatory forms in back agent starting probably July end, last week of July.
Okay.
Perfect. Let's prepare well on that. I think there are a lot of changes. Let's prepare well for that. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, Praveen.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Praveen.
Thank you Praveen bye
Bye.
Thank you, Praveen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Praveen.
Thank you, Praveen. Bye.